dream destinations, exceptional cruises, polar adventures. Welcome to Beyond the Horizon, the podcast that takes you where the journey truly begins. A production of Area Voyages.
So, I want you to imagine for a second that it's 1921.
Okay, 1921.
Right. And there's this massive shift in United States immigration law that basically happens overnight.
Oh yeah, the quota laws.
Exactly. And this legislative shift essentially wipes out the entire primary business model of one of Europe's absolute most powerful maritime transport companies.
Just completely overnight.
Literally overnight. Their whole revenue stream just vanishes. Mm-hmm. And to survive this sudden existential threat, this massive logistics operation had to do something completely unthinkable for the time.
Which is such a wild pivot when you actually look at the history.
It really is. They basically had to convince the general public that crossing the freezing, highly unpredictable, and notoriously treacherous North Atlantic was actually something you would want to do for fun.
Right, for leisure. It remains, honestly, one of the most fascinating survival pivots in the entire history of corporate logistics.
Without a doubt.
Because, you have this massive fleet that is specifically designed for utility and volume, and suddenly you are just forced to invent the modern concept of maritime leisure.
Out of pure desperation.
Basically, yeah. And today, more than a century and a half after they were initially founded, that completely desperate pivot has resulted in a multi-billion-dollar premium travel empire.
Which brings us to the actual topic for today. We are, of course, talking about Holland America Line.
Yes, we are.
And if you are listening to this deep dive right now, you are probably trying to calibrate your next major trip, and you find yourself sort of staring at two extreme poles of the modern cruise industry.
It's a very polarized market right now.
It is, because on one end, you have these ultra-high density mega ships. They basically operate as floating theme parks.
Right, with the massive roller coasters and the go-kart tracks on the top deck.
Exactly. And then on the far opposite end, you have the ultra-luxury yachts, where the overarching vibe is so rigidly formal that you feel like you need, a full background check just to order a martini at the bar.
You practically have to wear a tuxedo to get a cup of coffee.
Right. So our mission for this deep dive is to basically explore the third space that sits right in the middle of those two extremes. It's this highly premium, deeply unhurried tier that this specific company has essentially mastered.
And to do that effectively, we have an incredible source today. We are analyzing a highly detailed 2026 guide and operational breakdown written by Yvon Jr. Blanchette.
From Area Voyages, right?
Exactly. The report is titled Holland America Line: What It Is, How It Works, and What to Expect in 2026.
Which is a very direct title.
It is. And the report itself is great because it strips away all of that standard, fluffy marketing language and just looks strictly at the mechanics of how the brand actually operates.
So, to lay out the roadmap for you listening, we're going to tear into the actual structural layout of their ships, the logistics behind their culinary programs, the specific behavioral economics that drive their pricing model, and their massive footprint in Alaska.
Which is a whole operation unto itself.
Oh, it's huge. We'll get into that. But to help you figure out if this specific style of travel is exactly what you've been looking for, we sort of have to start at the beginning.
The origin story.
Right, because the genetic code of this company explains almost everything about how they operate today in 2026.
Yeah, you really can't separate the current product from its history.
Not at all. So they were founded way back in 1873 in Rotterdam. And the original name was the Nederlandse Amerikaanse Stoomvaartmaatschappij.
Which is a mouthful.
Yeah. Thankfully, the acronym is just NASM.
Right. NASM. And their initial directive back then had absolutely nothing to do with vacations.
Zero.
Right. They were purely a dual-purpose passenger and cargo transport company.
Like a logistics firm.
Exactly. Their entire operational philosophy was based on maintaining a strict schedule and literally just surviving the rough North Atlantic transit.
Which was not a joke back then.
No, not at all. They're essentially a maritime railroad bridging Europe and North America.
And between the 1880s and the 1920s, that super reliable transit schedule became a primary conveyor belt for global immigration.
It was massive.
We are talking about hundreds of thousands of Poles, Germans, Scandinavians, and Dutch citizens leaving Europe, boarding these purely utilitarian ships, and arriving in Hoboken, New Jersey.
Yeah, people always think of Ellis Island in New York, but Hoboken was a massive hub for them.
Right. And when you actually look at the passenger manifest from that specific era, it's wild. You realize Holland America directly shaped the demographic history of the American Midwest and the Pacific Northwest.
They absolutely did. Whole communities were established by people who arrived on those specific ships.
And again, they weren't selling a relaxing getaway. They were an immigrant carrier.
Pure and simple. The cargo sitting in the hold basically paid for the fuel to get across the ocean, and the sheer volume of third-class steerage passengers paid for the actual profit margin.
Which perfectly sets up that 1921 pivot we mentioned.
Right, the turning point.
So the U.S. passes the Emergency Quota Act.
Right.
And then that's followed by the Immigration Act of 1924.
Which just slams the door shut.
Completely. Mass European immigration collapses basically overnight. Holland America's entire core revenue stream just evaporates.
It's gone.
So my question is, what does the physical pivot actually look like when your target demographic literally vanishes by law? I mean, it's kind of like a municipal bus system trying to transform into the Orient Express. You can't just slap a fresh coat of paint on a steerage deck and start calling it luxury.
No, you really can't. The physical retrofitting they had to do was incredibly labor intensive.
I bet.
They had to take these cavernous, totally bare bones dormitories down in the lower decks and basically chop them up into what they started calling tourist class cabins.
Tourist class, so they completely rebranded the physical space.
Exactly. The marketing shift was actually brilliant. They started targeting middle class Americans, so, teachers, students, professionals.
Right.
And they sold them on the pure romance of traveling back to Europe for cultural enrichment.
So not a party cruise, but an educational journey.
Exactly. And because they established that specific tone, when commercial aviation eventually came along and killed the transatlantic route entirely in the late 1950s and 60s, Holland America was already perfectly primed.
They already had the leisure customer.
Right. They were ready to shift their vessels into warm weather Caribbean routes and global leisure cruising.
Wow. And that historical DNA, that focus on cultural enrichment over a loud party atmosphere, it is still completely visible today.
It really is the core of their brand.
So fast forward a bit. In 1989, Carnival Corporation comes in and acquires them.
A huge acquisition.
Yeah, they get folded into this massive corporate portfolio alongside brands like Princess, Cunard, and Seabourn. But what's remarkable is that Carnival actually let them keep their distinct Dutch heritage.
And their independent headquarters out in Seattle.
Right, they didn't just absorb them into Miami. And they just hit their 150th anniversary in 2023, which is a massive milestone.
It's incredibly rare in that industry.
But, okay, looking at Yvonne's 2026 analysis from the guide, I noticed this totally glaring omission in their current portfolio.
What's that?
There are 0 new ships on order for 2026.
Oh, right.
Nothing in the pipeline at all. And I have to push back on this a bit, because in the broader cruise industry, stagnation usually equals death.
Right. That's certainly the conventional wisdom, yeah.
So if this line is supposed to be so successful, shouldn't they be building massive new mega ships like literally everyone else? Why is having 0 new ships a deliberate strategy and not just a massive red flag?
Well, it's an excellent question because, like you said, the dominant narrative in modern travel is that survival requires constant new builds.
Right. Bigger, newer, flashier.
But you have to look closely at the economics of capacity dumping.
Okay. Capacity dumping. What does that mean in this context?
So imagine if Holland America suddenly borrows $1 billion to build a brand new 5,000 passenger megaship. By doing that, they drastically increase their overall fleet capacity. And to actually fill those 5,000 beds every single week of the year, they would have to significantly lower their base fares.
Oh, to get the sheer volume of bodies on board.
Right. And they would have to aggressively change their marketing to attract a much younger mass market demographic.
So they have to add the go-karts and the water slides just to fill the rooms.
Precisely. And doing so would instantly alienate their core demographic.
The people who want the quiet cultural enrichment.
Exactly. Their loyal cruisers value quiet, space, and intellectual programming. By freezing the fleet at 11 vessels and having 0 new orders for 2026, they aren't failing. They are signaling that they possess a very mature, stable product.
Ah, so it's a feature, not a bug.
Exactly. They know the exact size of their target market, and they are deliberately sizing their fleet to match it, rather than trying to manufacture artificial demand with giant new ships.
That makes a lot of sense. It protects their pricing power.
And their brand identity.
Yeah.
It's a very unhurried approach to corporate growth.
Okay, so if you commit to not building massive new vessels, you're left with a pretty significant architectural challenge. You have to rely entirely on your existing tonnage to deliver this modern luxury experience.
Which means the maintenance and deployment of those specific ships is critical.
Right. So let's break down the physical fleet, because looking at the guide, booking the wrong class of ship on Holland America will drastically alter the type of vacation you have.
It's not a one-size-fits-all fleet.
Definitely not. So the 11-ship fleet basically spans over 2 decades of maritime architecture, and it's divided into 4 distinct classes.
Let's start at the top of the pyramid.
Right, the Pinnacle class. For 2026, this includes the Koningsdam, which launched in 2016, the new Statendam from 2018, and their benchmark flagship, the Rotterdam, which launched in 2021.
Those are the largest ships in their portfolio.
Yeah, Yvonne's guide lists them at nearly 100,000 gross tons, carrying up to 2,668 guests. But we actually need to pause here and clarify a massive misconception about ship sizes.
Yes, the gross tonnage issue.
Exactly. Because when maritime guides say a ship is 100,000 gross tons, they are absolutely not talking about weight, are they?
No, and this is a crucial point for passengers to understand when they are comparing ships. Gross tonnage is a measurement of internal enclosed volume, not physical weight.
Okay, volume.
Yes. It is essentially a metric of how much interior space exists on the ship itself.
Right.
And if you take that 100,000 gross ton number and divide it by the 2,668 passengers, you get a passenger to space ratio. In this case, it's roughly 37.5.
Okay, so 37.5. Contextually, why does that ratio actually matter to the listener trying to book a vacation?
Because the space ratio dictates how crowded you will physically feel on board.
Oh, okay.
Think about a massive, modern, mass-market megaship. They might boast 180,000 gross tons, which sounds huge, but they're cramming, say, 6,500 passengers onto it.
Right.
That drops their space ratio down to around 27 or 28.
Wow, that's a big drop.
Right, so a space ratio of 37.5 on the Pinnacle class means you have significantly more cubic feet of breathing room per person.
So you aren't constantly fighting for a pool chair.
Exactly. You aren't fighting for a chair, you aren't waiting 20 minutes for an elevator in the atrium, and the buffet doesn't feel like a contact sport.
Which is huge for relaxation. And Pinnacle class also has the most contemporary design, right?
Yes, it mixes contemporary design with their Dutch heritage, and it houses the fully realized versions of all their specific music and dining venues.
Okay, so moving down the hierarchy, we hit the Signature class. And for 2026, this is solely represented by one ship, right? The New Amsterdam.
Yes. Launched back in 2010, it carries around 2,106 guests.
Reading Yvonne's guide, it kind of feels like an architectural bridge between the eras.
It really is a transitional link. It doesn't have the fully integrated layout of the absolute newest ships, but it carries many of the same dining concepts and operates mostly on Caribbean and Alaska routes.
Got it. But the real structural shift happens when you drop down into the Vista class.
Yes, the early 2000s hardware.
Right. This is the Zuiderdam, the Oosterdam, the Westerdam, and the Noordam, carrying about 1,900 guests. And Yvonne's guide is bluntly honest about these vessels.
He doesn't sugarcoat it.
Not at all. He notes that the age is visually noticeable compared to the Pinnacle class. We're talking lots of dark, warm woods, a very intimate scale, traditional brass fittings everywhere.
It has a very traditional maritime aesthetic.
Exactly. But if they are older and clearly lack the newest architectural amenities, what is the strategic purpose of keeping the Vista class in the 2026 rotation? I mean, why would I book it?
Well, you book a Vista class ship knowingly, entirely based on the itinerary. These specific ships are utilized for destination heavy routing.
Okay, explain that.
So if you are sailing a very port intensive itinerary, say Europe or parts of Asia, where you are literally off the ship exploring a new city for 10 hours every single day, the ship functions primarily as a highly comfortable floating hotel.
It's just your base camp.
Exactly. It's a base camp rather than the main attraction. You simply don't need a cutting-edge vessel with all the bells and whistles if you are barely on board during the day.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
And honestly, that logic extends even further to the absolute smallest tier of the fleet, the Rotterdam class.
Right. The real specialist.
This includes the Volendam, the Zaandam, and the Rotterdam V. And to clarify, that's the older vessel, not the 2021 flagship we mentioned earlier.
Right, the naming convention can be a bit confusing.
Yeah. But these are late 1990s and year 2000 architecture, carrying only about 1,400 guests. They are tiny compared to the rest.
They are. And the strategic value of the Rotterdam class lies entirely in their draft, meaning how deep the physical hull sits in the water and their overall footprint.
so they can go places the others can't.
Exactly. Because they are smaller and sit shallower, they can actually navigate into tight anchorages, very shallow bays, and specialized remote itineraries.
Like
Places like the Deep Inside Passage in Alaska, or tiny atolls in the South Pacific. If you took a 100,000-ton Pinnacle ship in there, it would physically run aground or completely overwhelm the local infrastructure of the port.
I actually like to map this whole fleet strategy to land-based travel to help listeners visualize it.
Let's hear it.
So the Pinnacle class is like your modern flagship downtown hotel. It has the rooftop lounges, the widest array of specialty restaurants, cutting-edge sound systems.
Right, the full resort experience.
The Vista class is like a historic, slightly older bed and breakfast. It has immense character, maybe some creaky floorboards, lots of wood, but it's incredibly charming.
I like that analogy.
And then the Rotterdam class is basically a specialized off-road vehicle. It's explicitly built to get you deep into wilderness environments where massive tour buses simply cannot physically go.
That is an incredibly accurate mapping. It really shows how you have to match the hardware to the mission of your vacation. Because you don't take a 25-year-old Rotterdam class ship for a Caribbean route where the ship itself is supposed to be the primary destination. And you certainly don't take a Pinnacle class ship on a transatlantic crossing without realizing it's built to keep you entertained inside.
Well, speaking of internal entertainment, let's actually look at how they occupy their passengers. Because this is fascinating. If Holland America categorically refuses to install the high-energy, surface-level distractions of their direct competitors, I mean, there's no laser tag, there's no massive water slides, how do they prevent boredom?
It's all about replacing physical adrenaline with cultural depth.
Okay.
And the single most significant manifestation of the strategy across the brand is what they call the music walk.
Right. Yvonne really highlights this in the guide. He calls it the single most distinctive onboard feature at this price point in the entire cruise industry.
It really is their signature offering.
So on the Pinnacle class ships, the music walk is this architectural spine of live music venues running right through the center of the ship. But wait, I have to push back here. When I hear the phrase cruise ship music, I immediately picture like a bored guy in a sequin vest playing an electronic keyboard to a pre-recorded backing track in a really noisy, chaotic lobby.
The classic lounge singer trope.
Exactly. So how is the music walk fundamentally different from that standard lounge entertainment?
It is entirely different because it relies on authentic, highly skilled live performance without the safety net of those pre-recorded tracks.
Real musicians.
Highly trained ones. The centerpiece of this is Lincoln Center Stage. They literally built a dedicated recital hall modeled strictly on the classical concert tradition.
Oh, wow.
And they employ a resident ensemble of classically trained musicians. Usually it's a piano quintet or a full-string quartet, and they are playing classical, romantic, and contemporary repertoires, rotating daily.
But wait, a cruise ship is essentially a giant vibrating steel box powered by massive diesel-electric engines.
Yes, it is.
So from a pure engineering perspective, how on earth do you make a delicate string quartet sound good in a moving steel box? Doesn't the engine vibration just destroy the acoustics?
That is exactly why the architecture here is so impressive. The venues on the Pinnacle class are explicitly acoustically engineered.
Really?
Yes, with floating floors and specialized insulation designed to completely isolate the performance space from the ship's mechanical vibrations. They actually treat the acoustic environment with the exact same rigor you would find in a high-end land-based concert hall.
That is wild. They really commit to it. And if classical chamber music isn't really your speed, you can just walk down the corridor to B.B. King's Blues Club.
Right, which is a totally different energy.
And this isn't just a loose blues theme. Yvonne's guide points out it is a direct, licensed partnership with the B.B. King estate itself. They literally bring on an 8-piece live band, including a full horn section, by the way, and they play 2-hour sets of the full blues catalog every night.
The crucial distinction here, and why other lines don't do this, is operational cost.
The labor.
Exactly. In the mainstream cruise segment, evening entertainment is highly engineered to reduce human labor.
Because humans are expensive.
Right. It is so much cheaper to program a dazzling laser light show with one DJ pressing buttons than it is to pay, house, and feed 8 highly trained blues musicians or 4 classical virtuosos.
That makes total sense.
But Holland America deliberately assumes the much higher labor cost because they know their specific demographic demands authenticity. They don't want the DJ.
Right, they want the real thing.
Yeah.
And they round out the music walk with the Rolling Stone Rock Room, which features a live rock band covering multiple eras. And then on the new Statendom, they have a Billboard partnership integrating DJs and pop hits.
It's basically an entire ecosystem of live talent.
It is. But their cultural investment isn't just auditory, it's also highly visual. So let's discuss the fleet-wide art collection.
Oh, the inventory is staggering.
Yeah, the guide says across the fleet, they maintain over 1,920 original works of art from artists representing 150 different countries.
And it's not random. They organize it thematically by vessel. So, for example, the Rotterdam focuses heavily on the Dutch heritage in the New World, while the Rotterdam highlights the art of the southern Netherlands. Every ship has a distinct curatorial voice.
Okay, I am naturally highly skeptical of cruise ship art.
Most people are.
Because so many lines boast about their quote-unquote multi-million-dollar collections. But when you actually walk the ship, it's just mass-produced lithographs. Or worse, they use the art as a hustle to just corral you into high-pressure onboard art auctions.
The champagne art auctions, yes.
Right. Is this program actually functioning as a museum, or is it just corporate decoration meant to be sold?
No, it functions as a genuine, curated gallery, which is a feat, because maintaining fine art in a marine environment is notoriously difficult.
Oh, because of the salt air?
Salt air, constant humidity fluctuations, and obviously the constant physical motion.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the natural enemies of canvas and sculpture.
So how do they handle it?
Holland America actually employs fleet historians and professional curators to manage specific climate controls and lighting in the corridors and dining rooms.
Mm-hmm.
The art is integrated directly into the architecture of the ship to serve as a real intellectual backdrop, not a retail opportunity. They even offer standardized, self-guided guest art tours. It really respects the intelligence of the passenger.
And that specific philosophy, respecting the passenger's intelligence, that extends directly into how they feed them too. Let's pivot to the culinary and intellectual programming, because one of their major brand partnerships is with America's Test Kitchen.
Which is such a brilliant operational synergy for them.
It really is. Every single ship features a dedicated America's Test Kitchen demonstration space. But they don't treat it like a passive daytime television show where you just sit and watch.
No, the chefs conduct highly structured, hands-on classes, serious technique demonstrations, and recipe tastings. And crucially, the curriculum is tied directly to the geography of the actual itinerary you are sailing.
So if the ship is navigating, say, the Mediterranean, the chefs aren't in there teaching you how to make a basic American hamburger.
Exactly.
They're breaking down the specific regional science of emulsifying a classic Provençal sauce.
Right. It is true culinary enrichment. And this leads directly into the actual dining venues on board, because the food logistics on a premium ship are incredibly complex.
Let's talk about the specialty dining. So the Pinnacle Grill is their flagship USDA Prime steakhouse.
Yeah.
It carries a supplemental charge, obviously. You also have Rudy's Celle de Mer on Rotterdam and New Statendom, which focuses on really high-end French seafood.
Yes.
Plus Tamarind for Pan-Asian, Canaletto for Italian, Morimoto by the Sea, Nami Sushi. But beyond just listing the restaurants like a menu, I want to look at the mechanics of why these actually exist. Is the goal just to squeeze more money out of the passenger through upsells?
Well, upselling is a factor. Of course, they are a business. But the primary hidden function of specialty dining is actually crowd control and behavioral pacing.
Wait, really? Crowd control?
Yes. Think about a standard mass market ship. You have 4,000 people rushing the main dining room or the buffet right between 6:00 p.m. and 8:00 p.m.
It's chaos.
It creates massive bottlenecks, incredible noise, and a ton of friction. By offering 5 or 6 highly appealing, distinct specialty dining venues, Holland America naturally disperses the passenger load across the entire ship.
Oh, that's incredibly smart.
It dilutes the density of the ship in the evening, which ensures that the main dining room remains quiet and the service there remains totally unhurried.
That makes total sense. It's architectural crowd control masquerading as culinary choice.
Exactly.
And I imagine sourcing the exact ingredients for menus like Tamarind or Rudy's Celle de Mer while you are navigating between remote ports requires a massive, totally invisible supply chain.
It's a logistical marvel.
But the food is just one part of the geographical integration. The real intellectual heavy lifting happens through the EXC program, or Exploration Central.
And the EXC program is basically the antidote to passive tourism.
How so?
Well, most standard cruise lines utilize the port talk merely as a retail funnel.
Oh, I hate those.
Right. The cruise director stands on stage, gives a generic 5-minute overview of the port, and then spends 20 minutes telling you exactly which approved jewelry stores to visit so the cruise line can collect a kickback commission.
Right, the classic shopping consultant trap. You get off the ship and just go to the diamond store.
Holland America aggressively avoids that entire model. The EXE port talks are deep, localized daily briefings covering the geopolitical history, the local architecture, and the broader cultural context of the destination.
Not generic overviews.
Not at all. Furthermore, they bring actual port experts on board. We're talking historians, anthropologists, naturalists who literally sail with the ship to accompany excursions and provide real academic context.
Plus, they have the on-location program for exclusive shore experiences, like private museum visits or cultural ceremonies. So when you synthesize all the elements of the ship together, you have America's test kitchen teaching the regional food science, the EXE experts teaching the history, the live classical music in the evening, and the curated art in the corridors. The vessel fundamentally stops feeling like a standard floating resort.
It really does.
It operates much more like a floating university campus crossed with a Michelin-starred food hall.
That is the exact atmosphere they are engineering. But, of course, maintaining that level of highly labor-intensive programming requires a specific economic structure.
Right, none of this is free.
Which brings us to a vital part of the deep dive, the actual cost and the behavioral economics behind the pricing.
Okay, let's pull apart the pricing, specifically the have-it-all package, because this is everywhere in their marketing. The first thing any potential passenger needs to understand is that Holland America is absolutely not an all-inclusive product at the base fare level.
Correct. You have to understand what the base fare actually buys you.
Right.
It buys your physical stateroom, your transportation between the ports, your meals in the main dining room, and the buffet, and all the entertainment, including the entire music swap we just talked about.
Which is a lot.
It is. But basic beverages are strictly limited to tap water, drip coffee, and tea. That's it. Alcohol, specialty coffees, Wi-Fi, shore excursions, and specialty restaurants like the Pinnacle Grill are entirely a la carte.
So to bridge that gap, they heavily push the have-it-all package. And looking at the numbers for 2026, if you pre-book it before you sail, it is $60 per person per day. If you wait and buy it on board, it jumps to $70.
And what exactly does that cover?
The package includes a signature beverage package, a Wi-Fi surf package for one device, a shore excursion credit that ranges from $100 to $300 depending on the length of the cruise, and 1 to 3 nights of specialty dining included. Again, based on length.
Now, a lot of highly analytical travelers look at any bundled package with extreme suspicion, assuming the house always wins.
I am definitely one of those analytical travelers, and I have to push back on the name itself, to be honest. Have it all is objectively false marketing.
You don't literally have it all.
You do not have it all. You still have to pay extra for the daily crew appreciation gratuities, any spa treatments, or if you want top shelf premium liquors that fall outside the signature package limit. So rather than just doing the basic addition of adding up individual drink prices, let's look at the psychology here. Why is prepaying $60 a day so effective for their core passenger?
It is entirely about mitigating a concept in behavioral economics known as loss aversion, or sometimes called the pain of paying.
The pain of paying.
Yes. When you are on a vacation and paying entirely a la carte, every single transaction forces you to make a microeconomic decision.
Like, do I really want this?
Exactly.
Well.
You look at a $5 latte, a $12 cocktail, a $20 daily Wi-Fi charge, and you are constantly evaluating if it is worth it. That constant underlying evaluation creates psychological friction and completely prevents genuine relaxation.
You feel like you are being nickel and dimed all day, even if you are entirely capable of affording the latte.
Exactly. By prepaying the $60 a day, you shift your psychological state from a mindset of scarcity and evaluation to a mindset of abundance.
That's a great way to put it.
You swipe your key card for the latte, and because it is already paid for, your brain registers it as free. You completely remove the friction of signing a receipt, and when you factor in that the package includes the specialty dining cover charges, which are usually $40 to $50 a head anyway, and the shore excursion credits, the math heavily favors the passenger, provided they consume some alcohol and intend to use the internet.
Removing the pain of paying is a massive luxury in itself. It turns a nickel and dime trip into a mostly all-inclusive feel. Now let's talk about the physical real estate you are actually buying when you book the staterooms.
Right, the cabins.
Yvonne's guide outlines the standard hierarchy.
Mm-hmm.
You have interior rooms at roughly 170 square feet, which honestly is surprisingly spacious for standard industry metrics.
They use premium Mariner's Dream mattresses too.
Then you have ocean view rooms and the highly sought after veranda staterooms with private balconies, which are pretty much essential for scenery viewing in places like Alaska. But we don't need to explain what a balcony is. I want to jump straight to the top of the pyramid. The suite life.
Ah, yes. The top-tier suites represent a truly fascinating operational microclimate within the ship.
It's like a ship within a ship.
It really is. You have the Neptune suites, which range from 465 to 502 square feet. And then the Pinnacle suites, which are basically sprawling 12,290 square foot apartments featuring private whirlpools and dedicated butler service.
That's massive.
But the square footage is actually secondary to the experience. The real value proposition of booking these suites is exclusive access to the Neptune Lounge.
So what is the Neptune Lounge?
It's a private keycard access space exclusive entirely to Neptune and Pinnacle guests. It provides continuous culinary presentations throughout the day. We're talking breakfast, afternoon tea, evening hors d'oeuvres.
Sounds nice, but you can get food anywhere on the ship.
True. The centerpiece of the room isn't the food at all. It's the dedicated concierge desk.
Okay, so why is a dedicated concierge worth the massive, massive premium you pay for these suites?
Because again, we return to the concept of friction. On a ship with 2,600 passengers, the guest services desk, the shore excursion desk, and the dining reservation lines can become extremely congested. A Neptune Lounge concierge acts essentially as a highly personalized air traffic controller for your vacation.
An air traffic controller. I really like that.
Think about it. If a port is canceled due to weather, which happens all the time, the 2,000 standard passengers are instantly rushing the excursion desk to figure out refunds and make new plans. They're standing in line for an hour.
Hey.
The Neptune Suite guest simply walks into the quiet lounge, sits down with a coffee, and the concierge automatically reroutes their entire itinerary, secures priority tender tickets, and rebooks their Pinnacle Grill reservations without the guest ever standing in a holding pattern. You are paying a heavy financial premium to literally buy back your time and completely isolate yourself from the logistical mechanics of the ship.
Isolation from logistics is the ultimate luxury, for sure. And speaking of immense logistical challenges, we have to transition to the absolute proving ground for this brand. If you mention Holland America, you just have to talk about Alaska.
You cannot analyze them without examining their operations in Alaska and the Yukon. It is their absolute crown jewel.
The timeline alone is just staggering to me. They have been sailing tourists to Alaska for nearly 80 years.
Longer than any cruise line currently operating there.
Think about that. They were operating leisure routes in the territory long before Alaska was even formally admitted as the 49th U.S. state in 1959.
That's incredible context.
And their operational confidence is so high that they literally guarantee a glacier viewing on every single Alaskan itinerary. But, you know, anyone can sail a ship up the Inside Passage. The real differentiator is the land operation.
Yes. The land infrastructure is what separates them. Most cruise lines operating in Alaska practice what is essentially drop shipping.
Drop shipping tourists.
Basically. They sail into Skagway or Juneau, hand their passengers off to third-party local tour operators for a few hours, and then pull out. Holland America, on the other hand, practices vertical integration. And they don't rent the infrastructure, they own it.
Let's talk about the Holland America Denali Lodge, which was formerly known as the McKinley Chalet. This is an expansive property sitting right at the entrance of Denali National Park. And they aren't just sitting on their laurels here. They are executing a $70 million multi-year expansion of the property running through 2027.
That level of capital expenditure in a highly remote environment where the construction season is incredibly short reveals their ultimate strategic priority.
Right, you can only build for a few months out of the year.
Exactly. For 2026, they are bringing a brand new 120-room guest building online and completely remodeling the Karstens Public House to massively increase dining capacity. But, of course, the lodge is useless if you can't get the passengers there efficiently.
Which brings us to the transportation, specifically the McKinley Explorer. These are proprietary glass-domed rail cars. How do they physically integrate the arrival of a massive cruise ship with a land-based railroad system?
It is a total masterpiece of luggage logistics and transit coordination. When a Holland America ship docks in Seward or Whittier, the guests disembark and immediately board the glass-dome trains.
Okay, but what about their bags?
Their luggage is actually intercepted by Holland America staff before they even see it, loaded onto separate transport trucks, and is physically waiting in their room at the Denali Lodge before the train even arrives.
That is seamless.
They execute this massive same-day transfer of thousands of people and their belongings flawlessly. They also heavily utilize the historic White Pass and Yukon route narrow-gauge railroad out of Skagway, which literally climbs the mountains directly from the ship's pier.
And looking at what they are launching for 2026, they're pushing the boundaries even further inland. They have a new 13-day Alaska, Denali, and Yukon cruise tour, and this isn't just a long bus ride.
Not at all.
It actually starts in Fairbanks, utilizes an actual flight up to Dawson City in remote Yukon to explore the Klondike Gold Rush sites, routes back down through Denali, and then you board a ship for a 7-day southbound cruise.
They are also deploying the Zondam on a massive 18-day Great Bear Rainforest and Alaskan Explorer itinerary out of Seattle. That one focuses heavily on the rare white-coated spirit bear in British Columbia.
When you lay all this out, the lodges, the rail cars, the airplanes, the $70 million expansions, you quickly realize they aren't just a cruise line operating in Alaska. They are a full-blown real estate, railroad, and hospitality infrastructure conglomerate operating in one of the harshest logistical environments on Earth.
And that right there is exactly why this creates an insurmountable barrier to entry for their competitors.
The barrier is just too high.
If a well-funded new luxury cruise brand decides tomorrow that they want to conquer the Alaskan market, they fundamentally can't.
They can't just buy their way in.
No, they can build a billion-dollar ship, but they cannot replicate Holland America's physical footprint. The absolute premier lodge locations adjacent to the national parks were purchased decades ago. The permitting, the native land agreements, the railcar infrastructure, it is entirely locked up.
The ultimate first mover advantage.
Holland America's 80-year head start means they practically own the ecosystem. They maintain absolute quality control because they never have to hand their guest off to a subcontractor.
So, synthesizing everything we've discussed, the deliberate refusal to build megaships, the acoustic engineering of the classical music walk, the culinary crowd control, the behavioral economics of the have-it-all package, and their absolute logistical dominance in Alaska. Where does Holland America actually sit in the hyper-competitive 2026 travel landscape? And crucially, who is this product actually engineered for? Let's render the final verdict here.
To accurately position them, we really have to look at the other brands attempting to capture the same premium traveler. Yvonne's guide outlines 4 primary competitors in this space. The most direct rival, surprisingly, is Princess Cruises, which is ironically a sister brand under the same Carnival corporate umbrella.
Right. Princess is a massive competitor in Alaska specifically. They actually have 180 sailings scheduled for 2026, outpacing Holland America in sheer volume. But their operational philosophy is vastly different.
Oh, so.
Princess leans incredibly heavily into their medallion-class technology. It is a highly digitized, app-driven, frictionless environment that naturally attracts a slightly younger, tech-native demographic.
Then you have Celebrity Cruises. They also occupy the premium space, but they compete on very modern architectural design. Their Edge-class ships are visually stunning, much larger, carrying upward of 3,000 to 4,300 guests, and project a trendier, more energetic nightclub aesthetic in the evenings.
So a totally different vibe. And if we look strictly at the culinary competition, Oceanic Cruises enters the picture. They sit in the upper premium, almost near luxury segment. They utilize much smaller ships and dedicate a massive percentage of their operational budget specifically to gastronomy. However, as Yvonne notes, Oceania has absolutely nothing in their entertainment portfolio that can rival the live, authentic execution of Holland America's Music Walk.
Finally, you have Viking Ocean. They share Holland America's intense focus on academic enrichment and destination immersion. But Viking is strictly adults only, features 0 casinos on board, and operates on a much more expensive base fare because they bundle shore excursions and alcohol directly into the initial ticket price.
Taking all of those competitors into account, who is the ideal demographic for Holland America in 2026?
The data and the design point to a very specific traveler. It is mostly couples in their late 50s, 60s, and beyond. It is solo travelers who prioritize intellectual depth and cultural safety over high-energy mingling. It is specifically designed for audiophiles and live music fans who actually recognize the difference between a pre-recorded backing track and an authentic live string quartet.
It is also explicitly designed for the long-haul marathon traveler. They operate what they call legendary voyages, running 30 to 60 days, and grand voyages that literally circumnavigate the globe for over 100 days.
Which is incredible.
You cannot put a traveler in a confined steel space for 100 days if the environment is chaotic. The unhurried pace is a mandatory survival mechanism for those kinds of itineraries.
Absolutely. And we also must be rigorously clear about who this product will actively disappoint.
Right. If you are a multi-generational family relying on massive, highly structured children's programs and teen clubs to act as babysitters while the adults relax, you will be deeply frustrated here.
It's not for them.
If you demand cutting-edge digital integration, virtual reality arcades, and a high BPM party atmosphere by the pool, you are booking the wrong brand entirely. And if your definition of luxury is a 100% all-inclusive environment where you never even see a bill or swipe a card, you need to be looking at a much higher price point in the ultra-luxury sector.
The greatest strength of Holland America in 2026 is their stubborn refusal to dilute their identity. They know exactly who they are, and more importantly, who they are not.
So let me pose a highly practical scenario for you. I am a listener. I have 2 weeks off this summer. I am staring at a brochure for a Princess cruise to Alaska and a brochure for a Holland America cruise to Alaska. The prices are completely comparable. What is the ultimate philosophical tiebreaker between the two?
The tiebreaker is entirely dependent on how you specifically wish to process the world around you. Princess is engineered for seamless scale and technological invisibility. You want your cabin door to unlock automatically as you approach it with your wearable tech. You want a vibrant energy, and you want the physical logistics of travel to disappear into the background.
And Holland America.
Holland America is for the traveler who prefers deliberate analog depth over digital flash. It is for the person who wants to conclude a freezing, exhausting day of hiking near a glacier, not by retreating to an app on their smartphone, but by sitting in a quiet, acoustically engineered room with a glass of wine, listening to 4 musicians physically play Mozart before walking to a lecture to understand the geopolitical history of the territory they just walked on. It is engineered for the deliberate, unhurried learner.
The deliberate, unhurried learner. That is a brilliant encapsulation of everything we've talked about. We have covered an immense amount of logistical and historical ground in this conversation.
We really have.
We trace the sheer survival pivot of NASM from carrying European immigrants to Hoboken in the 1880s to becoming this massive, premium maritime empire. We dissected the physics of their fleet, explaining why a 100,000-ton Pinnacle-class ship provides a superior passenger space ratio, and why they maintain the smaller Rotterdam class just to access fragile geographic anchorages.
We also analyzed the labor economics behind the classical, blues, and rock performances of the Music Walk, the behavioral psychology of the Have-It-All package, and the immense value of utilizing a Neptune Lounge concierge as your personal air traffic controller.
And we broke down the sheer scale of their 80-year monopoly in Alaska, from the glass-domed McKinley Explorer trains to the $70 million expansion of their proprietary Denali infrastructure. All of this architectural and economic insight stems directly from Yvonne Junior Blanchette's phenomenal 2026 operational guide for Area Voyages. The overarching lesson here is the absolute necessity of auditing your own travel psychology before you ever book a ticket. You have to match your personality to the hardware.
You do. And as we conclude this deep dive, I want to leave you with a broader thought regarding the overall trajectory of the travel industry right now.
Go ahead.
We live in an era that is obsessively pursuing quote-unquote frictionless environments. The dominant trend in 2026 is instant gratification, app-based automation, and maximizing sensory inputs per minute.
Everything has to be faster, louder, and more highly stimulated.
Precisely. In that context, you have to ask yourself, does Holland America's stubborn dedication to analog, live music, 100-day unhurried voyages, and academic port lectures represent a growing counterculture? As the rest of the world ruthlessly speeds up, is the simple act of slowing down, paying attention, and traveling deliberately becoming the ultimate untouchable modern luxury?
It's a question really worth considering the next time you pack your bags. Think deeply about how you value your own time and your own attention when you travel. Are you looking for the chaotic stimulation of the megaship, the rigid intimidation of the ultra yacht, or are you looking to buy back your peace of mind in that unhurried third space? The perfect itinerary is definitely out there. You just have to know the mechanics of what you're actually buying.
You've been listening to Beyond the Horizon, the podcast by Area Voyages. The full article for this episode is available at www.areavoyages.com. Remember to like, share the podcast, and leave a review to help promote our work. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything. Until next time, safe travels.